Your instant reaction deep dive coming up next on the Squad Show. Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. You better stay buckled in because the Vikings roller coaster season continues.
I'm Luke Braun. I'm with Locked On Vikings, and that's 3 touchdowns, no picks for J.J. McCarthy. Who had that on their bingo card?
The Vikings and the Commanders, I'm Sam Ekstrom, by the way. The Vikings and the Commanders are having the same season this year. Can the Vikings have last year's Commanders season next year now?
I'm Ron Johnson, and I told y'all, if you throw the ball quick, the catches will come. But there's something Drew Brees said that we got to talk about as well.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What's going on? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Vikings Squad Show. We got 60 minutes of instant reaction deep dive coming up next, including the biggest turning point. Before we get into it, thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. And thanks for making Locked On, by the way, the #1 sports podcast network. Before we get into all the action, quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by FanDuel. FanDuel, if you want to be right in the middle of all the action this season, go visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. One more quick reminder as well. After this episode, go check out that guy right there, Luke Braun, over on Locked On Vikings, pumping out all your daily content each and every day. Ron, you're back in the leadoff spot. Great to have you. J.J. McCarthy, obviously, back in the saddle after missing last week with the concussion. Feels like the vibe going into this week was just trying to kind of salvage these last 5 games of the season, maybe find some positives for 2026. As you watch this one unfold the way it did, what were you impressed with most, actually? The defensive shutout or maybe the way J.J. McCarthy bounced back with his best outing of his young career?
Oh, definitely J.J. McCarthy. I mean, that's the top of the story for everybody. I think even Dave Portnoy, he's tweeting, "Look at you haters now." And, you know, I tweeted out the gladiators. Are you not entertained? Which, by the way, that scene fits exactly. Like, he throws one last dagger into the crowd and then he looks at everybody. Like, that was that touchdown to Hawkins. Hawkins kind of did, like, is this enough? Like, 3 touchdowns? Are you guys happy now? Here's where I look at this, though. Drew Brees, and so to pay off the tease early, Drew Brees made a comment on the broadcast. I don't know if everybody heard towards the end of the game, and he was asked, when did it click for you? And I don't know if the announcer didn't realize Drew Brees didn't play his rookie year in San Diego, but he's like, "What your first year?" And he's like, "Well, I sat behind Doug Flutie." So that was J.J. McCarthy's sitting year, right? But he didn't get a chance to actually practice and listen and watch and get in there. Move fast forward. This is technically J.J. McCarthy's rookie year. He didn't have a veteran to kind of show him while he was on his feet. And I think Drew Brees then followed up with saying, like, and it took me a while. He said by probably year 4, I was where I was. And so it's going to be tough to be in this patience game. I don't know if everybody's going to be willing to do it. For Drew Brees, year 4 is for him when it clicked. Look at Jayden Daniels last year when he had a great year. Now this year, I mean, Caleb Williams the year before was bad. This year is good. So you just never know. But I will say, watching J.J. McCarthy, when I did the play breakdown, that's 3 Ron Johnson on Twitter, by the way. I tweeted out this morning the pregame show. We did the 3-minute drill, and it was 4 plays against this Commander defense, and all of them were pretty quick, getting out the hands, easy decisions. J.J. McCarthy had pretty easy decisions today. There was no 7 and 9 step drop type. Not towards the end, he did have the reverse play action where he went to his left, you know, just trying to show he can do it. And he actually made the throw. Jordan Addison dropped it. So, you know, that's more of like, this kid can do. And that's Kevin O'Connell getting a fix. You know, like, that's like anybody that's addicted to drugs.
He's got a
Ron's connection's a little.
JJ McCarthy looked very unrobotic today, unlike the way Ron Johnson sounds right now. Maybe we can get Ron and his technical difficulties back here in a second. Luke, let me go to you though. Just continuing the JJ conversation, definitely the A topic right now. We've come on this show and the other Viking squad shows every Monday, Thursday. Check us out tomorrow morning. Week after week though, we put a lot of blame on Kevin O'Connell. How good of a job did you think he did adjusting to finding better ways to put the quarterback in, I guess, more efficient positions today? And was there anything specifically that you really loved the most when it came to, you know, play calling, personnel usage, run pass balance, all that good stuff?
Yeah, I thought it simplified a lot. Like Ron said on the Thursday show last week. And like, I mean, I've been saying this forever. Give J.J. McCarthy the offense you gave to Carson Wentz and see if that works. And sure enough, it goes down the field. I think they only had the ball 7 times. It was such a fast game with drives. Each team had 7, and they scored on 5 of them. I mean, that's truly and utterly dominant. And it didn't have to be super fancy. All you had to do was execute regular plays. And yeah, it's boring, but it scores points. Boring points are points. So there's definitely a catharsis to this. That's like, see, this is what was possible if you just backed off the constant double moves, the constant extra fakes. Like one of the stupidest moments they had was a play action throwback screen where they had an ineligible man downfield and they got bailed out because of a late hit from the Commanders. Like, they still kind of can't help themselves, but there was so much less of it, and it's not surprising that the offense was so much more functional. Plus, I think there was really a de-emphasis on trying to make this offense go through the receivers. Like, so much happened with the tight end, so much happened with the running game. When they're not just trying to hit Jefferson and Addison on the outside over and over and over again, where everyone knows where they're going to go, suddenly there's all this room and all this other stuff breaks open elsewhere. To me, that feels like a sort of a realization of, oh, okay, this is what this personnel can do. If we do it this way, suddenly they can steamroll.
Sam, what I'd love to hear just your topic. What you love the most today, by the way, pointing back to Luke Braun as far as the tight ends go. The first drive, opening drive, 4 for 4 with a touchdown. 3 of those 4 completions to 3 different tight ends, including Ben Sims. But what you love the most as far as JJ goes, and maybe I'm getting a little too ahead of myself, but if the Vikings offense looks like this, these last 4 games moving forward, is there a little frustration in the KOC going into the offseason that why didn't you make the adjustments sooner, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think there will be, and it's hard to play that hindsight 2020 game. Yeah. I mean, I thought like today there was a willingness to throw the ball underneath and let your athletes get some yak. You think about the Justin Jefferson catch on, I think it was a 3rd and 12 at one point in the game where he made the right play. He got it to their best player in the open field and let him churn up the yards and pick up a first down. The touchdown to Oliver, he threw underneath. Oliver does the rest. There were a handful of moments where they made forward progress and allowed players to do the work after the catch. I thought that was a pretty smart game plan. Maybe they capitalized on a defeated and demoralized Washington team. This was the formula. Easy completions. Come up big with some 3rd down throws. Get ahead. Rely on your defense. Run the ball. I mean, they ran the crap out of the ball again today. The run-pass balance, I mean, it was still like 30-ish to 23, 34 to 23. And I also thought J.J. McCarthy was helping with some timely runs, and he seemed much more willing to use his legs and use his mobility and run in a way that protects himself as well. So he's a quick study in that regard. Kevin O'Connell was talking about it this week, about how he needed to approach his mobility differently. I thought we saw it today. And I thought he just played free. So the pressure was off today. Playoffs are impossible, more or less. And I thought the Vikings kind of came out and played a free-flowing game. String 4 more of those together, and we can go into the offseason feeling pretty excited.
Yeah, Ron, circling back just to the personnel usage. Again, I already touched on all 3 tight ends getting involved today. Josh Oliver, obviously, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches, 24 yards as well. But all 5 starting offensive linemen back in the fold again. And then you saw the running game, not dominant, not super sexy or flashy, but more than good enough, more than efficient enough. Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, 25 carries, almost 130 yards on the ground. It just felt like the most complete top to bottom offensive performance of the season.
Yeah, and to go before I got cut off by the internet, to go back to the point about Kevin O'Connell, and I think Luke just hit it. He didn't really go for the gusto. There wasn't that like, okay, we know it's a play action going to Jefferson, or we know it's a play action going to Addison. Again, he had the one kind of rolling out to his left, and he threw back, just to see if he could do it. Pretty decent throw, but and I would even call it a true rollout. He kind of turned his body and kind of faced back forward. It's kind of a weird, awkward looking rollout, but he made the throw, and that's kind of Kevin O'Connell giving himself a quick fix, because that 19-play drive, I know he was itching to go deep, and he's just like, okay, 3rd and 1, let me run the ball. 3rd and 1, let me run the ball. 3rd and 1, like it was almost like they were just telling like, coach, just keep it simple. We got a big offensive line. Everybody's healthy. Let's not do anything stupid to screw this up. And, I think the defense helped them out too. The defense kept them kind of honest where they were, playing a pretty good game, keeping everything in front of them, didn't let Jayden Daniels get loose. I think Kevin O'Connell early on, was hoping for a different style of offense, but honestly, like the good coaches make the adjustments, and that's what we saw today. Like it was an adjustment of just getting the ball out of his hands quick. Every time he planted his back foot, I think except for 4 times, he let the ball go when he's supposed to let the ball go. Even the one that sailed high, he got absolutely demolished, which is why I think it went kind of high. But other than that, everything else, because we couldn't see, they never replay hits like that for us to see. So, we were trying to see the TV copy to see, how hard did he get hit? Why did it go high? But other than that, every other throw was pretty much where it was supposed to be. I think he did a good job of using Justin Jefferson actually as a decoy when he runs around a corner route behind Jefferson. If Jefferson runs the out, the corner behind it, the corner back trying to cover the corner route has to honor Justin Jefferson sitting at 5 yards. And I think that was the other key. Like it wasn't any nothing against, I'm not going to even say a name, but if you put Miles Price out there, that DB probably is going to try to rob it and rob the corner. You put Justin Jefferson there, they're like, we can't give Justin Jefferson the ball. And the Commanders defenders, they just were so scared of Justin Jefferson. It felt like everybody else was wide open.
You know how the Rams have that dedicated dude on the sideline to make sure Sean McVay doesn't run out onto the field? It felt like the Vikings did that for KOC today as far as deep shots, especially on 3rd and short. Like, hey.
Wes stole the page out of his, ripped a little bit off the play card. And
hey, under the McVay tree, man.
I don't know
under the McVay tree. Luke, was there something as far as winning on 1st and 2nd down that you really noticed as well? That just whether it's not as many penalties, I guess maybe that probably also had a lot to do with it, but just so much more 3rd and manageable situations. And I mean, I think going into halftime, I think there were 7 for 7 on 3rd down, something like that. I'll go back and triple check, but ultra efficient on 3rd down. And again, it felt like a lot of that had to do with setting up positive yardage on 1st and 2nd as well.
Yeah, according to RBSDM, series that started with a 1st down run, the Vikings converted or scored, as it were, 93% of the time when they started with a 1st down run. I think that's 15 of 16 series conversions. Wow. Their rush success rate was 55%, exactly even to their pass success rate, which is pretty fun. They cooked them on the ground, and you can kind of feel that happening when every time it's 2nd and 5, and then it's 3rd and 2, and then there was one series where I think the drive started with 4 consecutive runs, and they were across midfield, and it's like you don't have to scheme anything up, right? And they weren't running fancy dancy run plays; they were running their classic, shotgun inside zone, mid zone duo, just kind of denting the guys up front. David Harrison kind of told me about this with the way the run defense had been struggling in Washington. That's a known issue for them. And the Vikings just kind of said, all right, we've got our guys. But I think the mentality is what I've been begging for, which is on paper, you have so much talent. You spent so much money on this line. You've got, Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson. You've got so many good players that you're calling the game like, your Illinois State against NDSU, that, you've got like you're out of the other team's league all the time, and you're making it so that these guys can't just win with talent. You're trying to win everything on the whiteboard, and that ruined everything. So when you just line up and punch somebody in the mouth, look at that. You got 2nd and 4s all day long. So I hope that this is really like a turning point. Obviously, it's probably too little too late this season, but I do hope that it's a turning point. And then that helps McCarthy when you're in, 3rd and 4 instead of 3rd and 14, like the one sack, or I think he took a couple that counted as sacks because he scrambled but didn't quite get back to the line. But the one real true sack where he gets hit in the backfield came on a 3rd and 11 with a bunch of really long routes because you had no choice. It's 3rd and 11. Stay out of those situations, and then you can convert with, your classic basic concepts, no subversions, no nothing. Just run your staples, see what that does, and if they start overcommitting to something, then you play your subversion. But they had gotten so deep into layers and layers and layers and layers of everything that it's really nice to see them run the basic staples, the boring stuff, put up 31, and have a totally dramaless game.
And all that said, Bron, let's give McCarthy props on the 98-yard drive for actually making some plays. Those were not all
4
easy
third downs. Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
5 third downs. He converted 4 of them. They
Right,
ran it in for the touchdown on 3rd and 1. That was a 3rd and 1 rush, 8-yard TD. But before that, he scrambles on 3rd and 6, knows exactly where the chains are, gets down safely. Great play. Good connection to Jordan Addison on 3rd and 8. Good connection to Jaylen Naylor on 3rd and 9. And then the smart underneath throw to Jefferson on 3rd and 12. That was a seriously impressive McCarthy drive where he had to make multiple plays along the way to keep those chains moving. 19 plays. I think they flashed on screen how unprecedented that drive was. That's got to be one of the longest Viking drives in terms of plays and length in team history.
Yeah, well said there. Plenty more on J.J. McCarthy's career day, plus biggest turning points, stock up, stock down. That's all coming up right after this. Today's episode brought to us by Aura Frames. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. If you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers each and every time. It's not just something you wrap, it's a personalized way to share memories. Aura isn't your average picture frame either. You can preload the frame with photos before you gift it, so when they plug it in, the memories are already there, ready to roll. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. And what I love the most, it comes packaged and ready to gift. No price tag, no wrapping needed. It's a holiday gift that actually gets used and not forgotten in some closet collecting dust. For a limited time, save on the perfectly gift by visiting auraframes.com. Get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter. That's auraframes.com. Promo code Locked On. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast. So order yours now and get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. I just want to get into some biggest turning points here real quick. Sam, you just mentioned that 98-yard drive. That was definitely a big turning point. I'm thinking back to Commanders starting the third quarter. First of all, it looked like they had an opportunity to double dip. And again, I mean, they're down 2 scores. A lot of game left to go. You're down 14 rip. They put together, to open the second half, a 12-play drive. They got 3rd and about 3. And credit to the defense stopping them not once, but again on 4th down with that Van Ginkel interception. So great to see that. That felt like a backbreaker at the time. I know it's definitely a monster turning point. What else comes to the top of your guys' head? When was it and why? What sticks out the most, I guess, right now?
I mean, let's just go to the other 4th down, right? And early in the game, 7-0. The Commanders put together a pretty good opening drive where, had they punched that in, we would be shaking our head. We'd be saying, man, they converted a couple long 3rd downs, sloppy tackling, poor defensive play on the opening drive, and it would have been tied up at 7. And the Commanders kind of bailed the Vikings out. They did 3 straight dropbacks, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th down, and the Vikings covered beautifully. I think Daniels threw it away twice and then forced one to Samuel in the back of the end zone. Tight window throw, incomplete. Vikings get the ball. That triggers the 98-yard drive. That's the early one for me. But then the backbreaker, the interception to Van Ginkel, where Daniels gets knocked from the game on that play because of the block. I don't know who threw it, but right on that
Isaiah
repaired
Rodgers.
left. Yeah, Isaiah Rodgers sending Daniels to that repaired left arm. That could not have felt good. And I think the game was pretty much over at that point.
Yeah, for me, it comes on that 97-yard drive. And that's where you kind of felt like, wait a minute, they're going to have it together here. There's this moment where it's a 2nd and 7 in the middle of that drive. J.J. McCarthy holds the ball forever. Don't know what was going on downfield or what he didn't like or whatever. But he ends up in a scramble, and he ends up running around. It's like really long scramble, and he takes the Elvis Gerbach sack where he runs out of bounds 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And I'm going, oh my God, you can't do that. Now he's losing his sense again, right? And you feel like, oh no, he's lost the rhythm. This is going to be just like those other games where he started out with the good scripted plays and then didn't figure it out. And they set up for the ensuing 3rd and 9. Quick out, Jaylen Naylor, convert, move the chains, super easy, clean execution. To me, that was, oh, okay. They have figured out their rhythm now. He's getting the ball out on that 3rd and 9 right away. to a very like easy pitch and catch, just execute, and you're going to get it kind of play, felt like his really huge moment. And and the snowball just kept happening from there, especially after they ultimately converted on that drive.
Yeah, Ron, any kind of back-breaking plays for good, I should say, for the positive, or any turning points that kind of decided the momentum in this one that you kind of watched on the sidelines unfold the way it did?
Yeah, so for me, it felt like, even the Harrison Smith interception felt weird. Like it was just silent. Like the crowd did. I don't think the crowd realized what even happened because it was like when he caught it, he didn't run right away. He kind of like did the Harrison Smith, let me stand back and see where my blockers are. So we were all thinking like, wait, where's the flag at? Because why is this so? It was such a lazy, lackadaisical interception. That was one for us where we're just like, okay, this is over. But honestly, the start of the game, the very first drive, they did not see a third down. And when we all looked at each other in the press box, I was talking to Santana Moss even at the time, and we're both standing there, and it was like, wow, like did they really just go up down the field like this? And for me, that felt like the turning point. That felt like, you know what, JJ McCarthy get the balls out of his hands pretty quick. Like I'm looking at text, so my whole pregame show thing was quick game, quick game, quick game. Why have we not seen one stepped? Why have we not seen hitches? Why have we not seen outs? If you look at the Lions, the way they attacked the Commanders, it was getting the ball out of his hands quick. And Tesla or Tess, I think Tesla, how you say it. So if you watch
Tesla,
him,
like coleslaw, Tesla.
well, it looks like Tesla, but yes, Tesla. When you watch him, I brought that up a bunch about how he ran his out routes, and I'm not saying because he's not a great receiver. I'm just saying he's not Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison. And the only mistake, and I'll talk about that later, but when I talked about that, like I got text messages from like Vikings PR, I got text messages from one of the Vikings vice presidents, I got a bunch of guys like in the front office are texting me because I was on the sidelines saying this to everybody, kind of like, I hope we see quick game today. Like he's got to be faster, he's got to be faster. I was like, look at my pregame show deal. And a lot of people text me like, man, you were right. Like if he can do this, meaning read it quick, get his shoulders turned when he's supposed to turn, get his back foot planted, and then just go and trust what he saw, he'll be okay. The biggest issue he was having early was he wasn't trusting what he saw. He was so worried about something else and kept hearing about how fast the NFL is, how fast the game is, and if you pick the wrong guy, you're in trouble. They're going to pick it off versus making the right throw. And today he kind of read it right. He understood like when that guy drops in the box, it's just straight up man coverage over here. Like the deep ball to Jefferson, soon as the safety walked up, I said it like everybody in the press box that was around me. I was like, oh, you got to go to Justin Jefferson. He's one-on-one. He still makes the throw. Now, of course, like I thought Jefferson had a chance, but he dropped it. Well, whatever. Didn't really catch it. Mike Sanistrill was standing there, but that was the turning point. The very first drive, it felt like he had command of this offense, and then you could see everybody else kind of relax after that.
Coach's corner time. I know we just showered KOC with a little bit of love and spotlight, and if there's anything else that you want to kind of double down on or echo, go ahead. But I'm just thinking about Brian Flores, and again, this 31-0 shutout. Brian Flores, the past 3 weeks, when you go back to the Packer game, last week in Seattle, and then this week as well, it just feels like these blitzes, man, are really starting to gel and click, kind of like we saw last week. And then obviously the 3 turnovers as well. But coach's corner, whether it's a scheme or a play design, I got to give some love and shout out to KOC as well. Anytime you can get Justin Jefferson, I think it was a tunnel screen. It was his longest catch of the day. He only had 2 catches on 4 targets for 11 yards. And yeah, his longest was that 13-yard kind of funnel or tunnel screen where you got CJ Ham up in the middle of the field blocking. TJ Hawkinson was up there blocking, but love that play design. Kind of reminded me of when they like to get creative and get Justin Jefferson almost in the backfield. It always seems like something good happens.
It was a bubble arrow is what it was.
Bubble
arrow. He ran a fake bubble and then ran an arrow back.
Love that. Yeah. Coach's corner, any love or again, shower, some spotlight, anything on more on KOC or Brian Flores today?
I'll do a quick one. So the one I actually negative is the out route that I was praying Justin Jefferson got. He gave it to Hawkinson and didn't complete it. Like, you can't run an out route in quarters with Hawkinson because they're not scared of him going deep. So that's the only thing in the coach's corner. I'm like, why would you put Hawkinson out there to run the out route on a 3-step out? Like, he's not scaring anybody with the potential go route. If that was Justin Jefferson, that DB would have been 7 yards off and backpedal. Like Nick Saban, I don't know if you guys saw the video of Nick Saban that recirculated this week about how to play like backpedal versus turn coverage, where he was teaching all his DBs to kind of turn and then break, because he's saying like in the turn phase, meaning your cushion's already broke. So if that's where you're the most comfortable anyway, to like not give up ground, just be there from the start. And so he was saying how like Surtain and so many guys like play like bail technique almost. The Commanders over bail, but they don't do it if it's a tight end. And that's the only thing I'm like, oh, why would you put Hawkinson out there to run the out route manned up? Like, give that to Addison, give that to Jefferson, even give it to Naylor. But Hawkinson, that's not where he needs to live. He needs to live in the middle where he was at.
There were a couple of just extremely disrespectful moments for me, and I say that in a good way. The first was right before halftime. The broadcast, Drew Brees is talking about, they got the chance to double up, and you're just thinking like it's 2-minute Brian Flores defense, and they line up in that all up presentation that they love, and they send everybody every play. It felt so like, yeah, Jayden, you're hobbled, you can't handle this. It was something that I feel like they would never do to a quarterback that they respected. And it worked. I thought that was just beautifully aggressive. Just go get them, pin your ears back, take the fight to them. I thought that really made a statement, and it kind of affected the emotion of the rest of the game. The defense played really hot. And then, at the end, going for 4th down to go up 31-0 instead of 27-0, where you're icing it as a 4-score game either way, felt a little bit like, all right, Kevin, like, but I love it. I loved what that's got to mean to JJ, what that's got to mean to everybody else. Like to the Commanders side of it, if you don't like it, stop it. And that's always how I felt about that. But it is really like, it would have been so easy to just sleepily kick a field goal, let nothing go wrong, and no, I trust you guys. We're going to go do something. We're going to make this look even worse. And then they pay it out with that Hawkinson touchdown. I thought that was a really nice, totally meaningless moment to the game. But I feel like there is like an emotional meaning to that that's worth shouting out.
Well, and holding on to the ball until triple zeros too. Like, you've got what they needed to move the chains a couple times, run a 4-minute drill or run the clock out, and they still had some starters out on the field to execute that. And you get to take knees at the end. That feels pretty good. Mm-hmm. Defensively, coach's corner, here's a little nerdy stat for you. Last year, I'm using last year because Jayden Daniels has been hurt for so much of this year. Batted passes, Bo Nix with 16, Kirk Cousins and Jayden Daniels tied for second with 15 batted passes. I felt like that was part of the defensive emphasis today, was to jump in passing lanes more than usual. I know that's taught. It's not a foreign concept. I felt like there was an extra consciousness about that today, because they were constantly in his face, hands in the air, affecting passing lanes, led to some inaccuracy, led to some tipped balls, and led to the Van Ginkel interception. I felt like that was a real plus on the defensive line's part. And Jayden, I mean, he's trying to come back from an arm injury. I give him credit for a 3-9 team. But once they got behind, it didn't feel like there was a whole lot of juice left to squeeze out of that one.
Hey, Ron, I'm sure we only got you for a couple more minutes. Stock up, stock down. If we're on Wall Street right now, right? If we're on Wall Street today, whose stock went in the green today, shot up with a good performance? And then I guess, the alternate stock down, who's going to hate watching the tape tomorrow morning, if anybody?
Ooh, so you know what? Stock up. It continues to be Jalen Redmond. Like, he continues to like shine and show that he can get after the quarterback. And then Eric Wilson. Like, I mean, that double, like Sam or Luke said, the disrespectful moments of like having Ivan Pace come scot-free on the blitz, and then you turn around and Eric Wilson's now scot-free on the blitz. It was like they stuck to that double linebacker like crisscross, where they're gonna send both backers, and one's gonna absolutely demolish the running back, and the other one's gonna hope that the guard doesn't see it. And then a couple times like the delayed blitzes, but and honestly, it was good to see Ivan Pace back out there. We had saw him not get a lot of play and kind of of get, put in the back burner because of Wilson, but you saw him back out there today. So whatever that conversation looked like this week, that growth, because again, a lot of times with young players, it comes to maturity. So whether it's dumb stuff they're doing within the play call, whether it's not, if they're supposed to show a coffee house blitz and they're, acting like an idiot in practice or in a game, coaches get annoyed with that young stuff. They're like, dude, like if you're supposed to do this, why aren't you doing it? And, who knows what that reason was, but Ivan Pace was back out there kind of being the Tasmanian devil that he is. But I got to go with Eric Wilson and Redmond. Like I normally would go offensive guy, but those defensive guys today for me, like they flashed. Like it was amazing. I was just more annoyed at the last sack because one of my picks was 3+ sacks, and it was the sack fumble. But because I think Allen didn't get off the field, it was 12 men on the field. So I was like, you got to be kidding me. And if I'm not mistaken, was that Redmond on that one, or who was that? Who got or was it E. Will got the pressure?
Yeah, I would have to watch that one back.
Because I know Tyree Ingham Dawkins picked it up and then hit running back because he cut back like he was a tight end. But I couldn't remember who had the force, but it didn't count anyway because of freaking and you could see it too. The coaches were trying to yell it when they subbed in, and for some reason the green dot either didn't hear it or somebody else didn't catch it because it was like a late run out. And at that point, they should just call a timeout.
Yeah, I was surprised we didn't see the timeout there.
Yeah,
I think they went in with one left too, so they wouldn't have ended up even wanting it.
And I don't have a stock down guy. Who else wants to go? I don't know.
Yeah, this was the front seven was great. I mean, once again for the Vikings, I think last week they put together a great defensive performance. They got rewarded in no way because they lost 26-0. I thought they kept that going. I mean, this is two. Yeah. They've strung together 2 in a row now. And you can even look at the first half against Green Bay. There was a lot of good stuff. There's a stretch here, and I said this during the week, that if the defense can put together an awesome December, that gives you a lot of confidence in this offseason that, okay, we need to get the quarterback figured out, but we don't have to do a mini overhaul on defense because they've got so many dudes under contract. And you would love to not have to cut ties with some of these veterans because they're not effective, right? You would love if Javon Hargrave is going to do, quality stuff and impact the game and get fumble recoveries. Like, yeah, you would love to keep that guy, but they have so much money to clear. You've got decisions to make in the offseason. So if this defense can be that forceful, that good, that's a real indicator that kind of it eliminates some of the areas of need or concern this offseason.
Yeah, it's nice to see them stacking a lot of games, and even against better teams. They did this against the Ravens and the Seahawks too on defense, where you look at that quarterback's stats and their worst game came against the Vikings. And that's going to be another one for Jayden Daniels before he went out. By far, by EPA per dropback, his worst game of the season. And that includes games against, stout defensive teams like the Seahawks and the Packers. So that's another kind of feather in the Flores cap. And I feel like that unit is really on a heater.
Yeah, he's in his bag right now for sure. Stock up. I just want to echo Luke Braun. The tight end room, stock up for that tight end room. 5 catches between the 3 of them, almost 50 yards and 3 touchdowns. Got to love that reception to touchdown ratio going on. Give me some more 12, maybe even 13 personnel next week. Plenty more deep dive, what we loved, what we hated, plus what we'll be talking about tomorrow morning. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode also brought to us by Game Time. We are in crunch time of the NFL season. Things are getting intense. You got the tailgate rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's really nothing like it, but let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. You got the endless queues. You got the hidden fees, price jumping when you go to check out. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. By far the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices. And best part, no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. No joke. It is faster, it's cheaper, and it's way less stressful than any other way I've ever bought tickets before. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, what we loved, what we hated. I'll just kick it off. What we loved, obviously, J.J. McCarthy just looking like a competent NFL quarterback. What we hated, what I hated, watching Zach Ertz's leg do things that it's not supposed to do. Jay Ward went a little low, clean hit, but I didn't like to see that replay, that's for sure. Zach Ertz definitely getting a little long in the tooth, and props to him. What a career, by the way. But after an injury like that, and who knows, early speculation, but who knows? Got to be close to maybe hanging it up after a hit like that. We'll see how it all shakes out, though, later this week on the injury report. What'd you guys love? What'd you guys hate from today?
I do want to speak on that hit. For one, yeah, the way the Commanders players reacted was really disconcerting. Like it just took the whole air out of that whole team, and that really sucks. And I'm sure David Harrison on Locked On Commanders will have a lot to say there. But that hit was pretty similar to the one Kirby Joseph laid on TJ Hawkinson a couple years ago that got him hurt. And I just kind of want to mention that like that hit is really common. Safeties tackle tight ends like that because safeties are smaller than tight ends. Those are big basketball player type dudes. And you try to cut them down at the quad, cut them down at the knee. If somebody's going up for a ball, it was a little bit of a hospital ball, I would say. I would probably lay more blame on that. But I would really caution anybody. And I said this about Kirby Joseph at the time too, and got in a lot of trouble for it. So I'm remaining consistent. But I think that is kind of a hit common to the game, if I can borrow a phrase, but not something that I think Jay Ward should get in any trouble for at all. Just really unfortunate stuff. And the kind of thing that happens when you send a tight end over the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ron, you're on mute. But what'd you love? What'd you hate? Go ahead.
No,
Ron, have you taken any hits like that when you were a tight end?
No, heck no. I was a little tight end. I was only 6'3", like 240.
Todd Heap was taking all those hits. Okay.
But the one thing I'll say about his hit different than the other, because Kirby Joseph did it twice. He did Higbee and he did Hawk. Those guys had caught the ball and turned up the field like in like split second. So their foot was still planted into the ground. He was up in the air. And so I think the whole point was let me not, try to flip him so he can't make the catch. But the weight of his body, and then it was just weird. Like he hit one leg and not both legs. I think if he hits both legs, maybe it's just a flip, but he hit one leg. So the other leg was still trying to go forward. And the other leg got pushed back. And it was just, like everybody. I mean, the press box was quiet. The fans were quiet. Yeah, it was just all around bad. But sorry, what was the question anyway? Because that
what we loved, what we hated. Yeah, I will say too. Yeah, go ahead, Ron. Sorry.
No. So what I did love to see again, and I think this is going to be the key for McCarthy. I love the fact that Kevin O'Connell stuck to the running game, like especially on third and short. Like it's going to be something that McCarthy, like the one time he went, it was like third and short, and he went shotgun, and you could hear kind of the people behind me in the press box say, "Oh, here we go again." Third and short, and he's going shotgun, and then he hands it off, and then they get the first down. I think it was either Xavier Scott or Jordan Mason. Like, that's what he has to do. You have to be able to run the ball. You want to give him different looks, maybe think I'm going to pass it, but you have to be able to do that, and that's the key. And before I get out of here, I think that's going to be the key these last 4 games. Now, here's the sad thing. If they win all 4 games, there's still a chance they're in the playoffs, and that's what makes this Viking season such a roller coaster. Is we hated the team last week, and now everybody's like, oh, man, they just had a 31-point win, even though a bad Commanders team, but there's still a chance. There's still a chance. I mean, some other things have to happen. Some other teams have to lose, but the season's not over just yet.
Appreciate you, Ron. As always, check him out on X at 3Ron Johnson. And, of course, check him out every Tuesday on the Ron Johnson Show. Sam, anything to echo there? What'd you love? What'd you hate from today?
Yeah. I love that the Vikings closed the gap on setting a franchise low in interceptions. The franchise low is 6 in a season, and they are now up to 5. They're up to 5.
Oh, we're going to be all right.
Huge. Let's go.
Huge.
4 games to go. You need 1 to avoid being the worst of all time. Here's what I hate / love. I mostly hate. I hate that it's possible. It is possible that Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah saw what was happening around the league, and he saw what the Commanders did last year and was inspired, right? Because the Commanders were in the exact same situation. They had a rookie quarterback, $100 million in cap space, They spent all that money around him. They created this 2-year window, cashed in, NFC Championship game appearance, and this was year 2. And now they're having a worse year than the Minnesota Vikings because the quarterback got hurt, injuries, all the same stuff the Vikings are dealing with, honestly. Can the Vikings pull a little reversal? Can they be the reverse Commanders? They're having the Commanders year in their year 2 of their vision this year. So next year, can they have the last year edition of the Commanders? Because they've got this 2-year window. They spent $100 million. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah might have been inspired by that model. He might have said, this worked for Washington. Let's try it out. Maybe the Vikings can boomerang this, can just take this into next season with some momentum and either reverse Commanders. That would be my wish for the Minnesota Vikings if they can have the 2024 Commanders season next year.
The NFL, man, this is why we love it, right? The NFL, I was flipping over. I was trying to watch a little Bills-Bengals in the snow, fun little shootout in the fourth quarter there. But they're talking about the AFC East, and it's like, man, the Patriots were what? 3 wins last year, 4 wins? And then all of a sudden now they're obviously leapfrog the Bills right now and in first place, not just in the division, but in the AFC. So much changes in this league year to year. Obviously, a lot of different factors. Luke, we talked a lot about injury regression even for the Vikings this year, but there's just so many different layers to it, and that's what makes it fun. But I mean, yeah, Sam, you're totally right. Absolutely. Would love to get anything like what the Commanders got to experience last year. That's for sure. Don't go anywhere. One more segment left. What we'll be talking about tomorrow, plus our biggest X factor. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode also brought to us by FanDuel. There it is, FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so dang exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. And with FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. And personally, I just love the live betting. I think it's the best when the game, it starts to shift a little bit. Maybe a receiver gets hot. Maybe a defense starts to tighten up. Maybe the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment with live spreads and money lines, and they're all adjusting instantly. Player props updating as guys start to get heated up. You can even bet next drive touchdown scores, drive results, and totals, you name it. FanDuel's got it. Live betting keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, and every possibility. If you want to be right in the middle of all the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Okay, Sam, don't want to put you on the spot, but there was some comments earlier I saw, and you know, a little tongue-in-cheek, but you know, the week after the Vikings let Adam Thielen go, look at this, they put up a 31-0 shutout. Anybody got any type of update on what Adam Thielen did today with the Pittsburgh Steelers in his first game over the AFC?
Adam Thielen goes to Pittsburgh. They win, by the way, 27-22. It's a veteran leadership injected into the Steelers. They get a win. Adam Thielen, 1 target, 1 catch, 4 yards. More than he was getting
moving the needle
most weeks.
It's a lot of old man hoops today. You got the Harrison Smith interception. I can't believe Harrison Smith jumped a route. You can't let that happen to you.
Yeah, that's.
Hey, here's what else I love. I need this in my life. More of this. The one-handed loose hold of the football, like Harrison Smith's just waving the ball around, palming it.
So great.
On the return. He's done this forever. 14 years in the league. No one's taught him to tuck it. It's fantastic.
And I don't think he's ever fumbled one.
You're right.
I'm going to go back to the Detroit game with Harrison Smith when that fumble, I don't know if it was Cashman, Ivan Pace, Eric Wilson, somebody knocked that ball out, and Harrison Smith just had that veteran just understanding to let that ball just bounce 1 or 2 more times before he tried to pick that thing up and scoop it up. Yeah, hilarious stat line by Adam Thielen over there. Making some moves, though. Pittsburgh, what's going on with Baltimore, by the way? Lamar Jackson struggling over there. Thought for sure if I had to pick him, I thought for sure I would have probably picked Lamar in the Ravens. But again, that's why we love the NFL. Let's get into our biggest X factor from today's game.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under-the-radar impact with today's X Factor.
I'm going to go back to Van Ginkel. When this defense is cooking, when everybody's on the same page, when Brian Flores is in his bag, obviously, you know, we talked to the first half of the season, man, Jonathan Grenard looks so good out there. He's just not collecting the sacks in the stat sheet. But, you know, they didn't have Van Ginkel, a healthy Van Ginkel for a lot of this season. When that dude is healthy and Brian Flores isn't in his bag, man, Van Ginkel is such an X factor for this defense. We saw it again, 2 pass deflections, a huge interception on 4th down, and again, worth every bit the money, and definitely a guy that you're going to enjoy having around the next few years. Again, barring that he stays healthy. Biggest X factor for you guys? Somebody that just jumps to the top of your head?
How about Jay Ward? Outside of the the hit everybody's going to be talking about, had a big play on special teams, had a big pressure right away. He actually started the game at corner. Technically, he played 2 reps, and Isaiah Rodgers wasn't out there to start the game, which I thought was interesting, but it didn't hold. I thought he's getting more and more run as Theo Jackson falls more and more out of favor, I guess, and I think he's making the most of it.
Jackson scratched today. Was he hurt? Is that still an injury on Jackson, or was that a healthy scratch?
That might be a healthy. Let me just take a look at the injury report.
Yeah, may have to check.
I don't remember.
He was. I believe
he was on it.
He did pop up on the injury report, so that could be injury related. Can I give the X factor to the guy who scored 2 touchdowns, or is that too obvious? Josh Oliver.
I don't think we'd call that under. Oh yeah, DNP neck out. Okay, yeah,
yeah. So Theo's had injury issues this year as well, neck and I think concussion as well. But Josh Oliver showing up, perfect catch to touchdown ratio of 1-to-1. And that first route he ran was nasty. That was a great post that he ran for that TD. Made a tough catch at the goal line. That was enormous. Like to score a first of all, to score a touchdown at all, let alone a first half touchdown, let alone a first quarter touchdown. I think Luke, that's maybe the 5th game this year where they have a first half touchdown out of 13. It's less than half. Those have been so few and far between that it just felt good to play with a lead for a minute. Totally changes what this defense is capable of. And to get the crowd into it as well, give them something to cheer about. This would have been a major Boo Bird day. Like you might have had a drunk guy in the 300 level trying to get a fire KOC chant started. Like that could have happened.
Oh, no doubt.
That was definitely in the cards. And they avoided that today. KOC got to take the headset off early, high five some people, and have a good afternoon at the office.
It sounds too obvious to even say out loud because, any team is built, obviously, when you have a lead. But you look at the 3 dominating wins this year, right? The Bengals game, the Lions game, JJ started out hot. The first 2 drives, he put up 2 touchdowns. And then, obviously, today as well, 4 for 4 in that opening drive for a touchdown. And the whole thing just looks, obviously, again, I get it. It's pretty simplistic when you think about it. But it just
Crazy
looks...
thought. Yeah.
Top to bottom, though. It's not just the offense. Oh, the offense looks – no, the defense, though, when they get to play with the lead and pin their ears back, they're just built a little bit differently. It's just in their DNA, and I think it's more of anything. I think it's more of a Brian Flores, a testament to him being able to play with the lead and just be aggressive and keep that foot on the pedal for sure. So totally agree with you on that, Sam.
It was nice to get just to – go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, just a crazy thought. It is wild to think that with all the breath we've spent on McCarthy, I think most of it deserved. But if not for a special teams gaffe at the end of the game against Chicago, McCarthy could be sitting here with a 4-3 record. He's 3-4. He's almost 500, and it's been an ugly 3-4. Today was great, but it's like that's the fine line we're talking about, where if he was 4-3, we're probably not spending as much time harping about it as we are.
Yeah, and I think it's fair that like in all of those games except this one, like he played poorly for long stretches of it, if not the whole game. And that's worth, breaking down and discussing how mad we are about that versus how happy we are about like the comeback drives or whatever. But it's really nice, and this is like the one thing I needed out of this year, because I know we're not getting postseason run or any of that. The one thing I needed out of this year was a clean one from McCarthy. I just needed one where it looked like he knew what he was doing, where like it wasn't this total mess where you're not going, oh, his mechanics have dissolved and he's throwing like a baby gazelle that just got born. Like we are getting one where he just keeps his cool and keeps it together all the way through 60 solid clean minutes. It's not a barn burner of a game. There's been lots of 3 touchdown games. Didn't even get over 200 yards. It's nothing that you would write home about, but I needed one where you could see the proof of concept of the offense rolling, moving, doing their thing. And if that means that you have to take it to the 3-9 Commanders at home, and that's when you got to get it done, that's when you got to get it done. I will take that. But hopefully, and Drew Brees even said this, they can kind of make this a big inflection point where they go, okay, we can be this. This is what our offense can be now. And let's run it until people start stopping it. Let's run it this way until, we don't have to go through all of the other stuff that we were doing. We can throw all of the last 13 games out, and we can just make this one the one and hopefully get a little momentum in the end of the year. That is too little too late. But what you do is you take that into the offseason, and now you have some idea of what you can do with the J.J. McCarthy offense, and you actually have a direction headed into whatever you do planning for the offseason.
Gold Sound D9S asks, and different quarterback, mind you, Carson Wentz started this game, but more complete team game than the Bengals victory, the Bengals blowout back in week 3?
I don't think can you be more complete? Like, you scored on defense twice in that game. Your offense was probably a little bit better today than that game. I think, Wentz still had a handful of 3-and-outs. They were maybe a little more efficient today. Defense gave up a garbage time touchdown in that Bengals game. Can we just call it equal? I'm going to call it equal.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. There was... the offense played better in this game than in the Bengals game by a lot. And it's just because their drives took so long, which is a good thing, that there were very few possessions in this game, which is why, like, as we're like an hour in this show and some of the early window games are still wrapping up.
We've had that a lot lately.
Yeah.
With these
Two of the last
shellacking.
3 weeks. Yeah. Two of the past 3 games.
2:30, game's over. Bonus coverage.
Like, they kneeled it down on their 7th possession, not including the kneel down one at the end of the half. That's extraordinarily. So to score 31 on 7 possessions, you have to understand you're not going to get a lot of volume in that world because you're just running off so much clock that just not that many plays get run for either side. But each team got 7 possessions, and the Vikings blanked them, and then they scored, I think, on 5 of them, and one of those that they didn't score on was at the end, when they ended up kneeling out.
When they were driving. They were moving the chains.
Punted once, man. This is a crazy offensive game.
So what is the wish list for the Final Four? So Braun, you got your modest wish of having one game where he looked like he had it figured out. But let's get a little greedy. Like what do we
give me
want?
some clean consistency.
What do we want under the tree in these final? Because he could walk away. I would love if McCarthy walked away from this season having beaten every division opponent. That's on the table. If he can beat the Packers, he could win. He's already won 2 big road games. This one, kind of an easy one at home. He could come away with a Dallas win in prime time next week. That would feel good. That
would be excellent.
He could knock Detroit out of the playoffs in with like a Christmas Day win against Detroit. There's a lot that we can still get and feel good about these Final 4 games. It could be a nice little resume at the end of the year.
It would be very fun to play spoiler for one of these NFC North teams. Looks like all 3 of our rivals are going to the playoffs. It would be super nice to ruin someone's season. On Christmas against the Lions would be very fun, but sweeping the Detroit Lions in this era of the Detroit Lions feels like a pretty tall order.
Both at home, whether it's Lions or Packers, either one. I think at this point in the season, we would take playing spoiler to either one of them for sure. What we'll be talking about tomorrow morning, obviously join us on the Viking Squad show tomorrow morning for all the instant reaction, more deep dive, everything else. But what's the topic once the dust kind of settles? Things are always a little emotional after these games, but take the emotions out of the equation here. What is the biggest talking point after what we just watched unfold? Is it J.J. McCarthy putting together his first real clean, competent NFL start?
I'm going to pose the question tomorrow. Did we notice the mechanics? Like when balls are getting completed and McCarthy's not taking bad sacks and he seems to have a grasp of what's going on, do we care at all? Like the coaches probably care. They probably want to have that foundation better next season, but you don't notice it when it's going well. And I think Arif Hassan will probably come in and probably try to be the wet blanket and tell us that it wasn't as good as we thought. But did you guys think about his mechanics one time today?
I watched it a little bit.
I watched the leg whip a couple
cleaner.
times, but it did look. Yeah, go ahead. It did.
Yeah, the leg whip will be there on deep balls. Just about everybody has something, which is why I don't like that the leg whip has become the thing everybody's talking about. You want to look at the hips, not the foot. The foot is just an indicator. It's just kind of a warning sign for that the hips might be going too much, but that's where the actual thing is. So he probably whipped it out a little bit on the deep ball, but on some of those, like what was really nice, and Drew Brees highlighted it a lot, was getting to the top of the drop, maybe one hitch, ball being out, and his feet staying under him that whole time instead of, getting uneven, losing that kind of balance, the heel clicky, all that other stuff that we've been seeing kind of since like the Baltimore game. And to me, like the headline of this game, what are we talking about tomorrow, is that whatever Kevin O'Connell said when he said, oh, we're going to simplify things, we're going to stop working, whatever adjustment that they just made worked really, really, really well here. I wish you would have found it on Halloween, or in September, or before the season. But I'm all right with at least they found something, and that bodes well for future years, let alone future weeks.
Yeah, just on the flip side, too, the defense, again, I mean, we've talked about it, but half of the Green Bay game, Seattle last week. I know people, look in the box score the next morning and say, well, defense probably wasn't that great, but they've been on a heater, man. Again, Flores has been in his bag. If this trend continues these last 4 games, whether it's Dallas, Detroit, Green Bay, the Giants, those offenses are in for a long day, which, again, I think we knew coming into the year that was going to be the foundation of this team. And now we're starting to see it consistently week in and week out. We knew there was going to be ups and downs with JJ and the offense, and it was going to be kind of a work in progress, but we didn't get the defense that we were promised. We're starting to see that, I feel like. And that certainly feels like not only are they headed in the right direction, but something that, we should be talking about and handing out some flowers for them as well. Anything as far as the Cowboys, again, I know we'll preview this game later on in the week, but Sunday night football action, in Dallas, in the house that Jerry built. Cowboys probably playing for their playoff lives next week, so they'll be dialed in, I'm sure. But any quick storyline in the back of your head or thought about Week 15 that kind of intrigues you, or maybe that you're already kind of curious about 7 days out for Vikings Cowboys next week?
Another bad defense.
They didn't flex it because it's the Cowboys, so they stay in prime time. Mm-hmm. Chance to score points, like Bron said. Cowboys favored by 6.5. I'm seeing. Could be a lot of fun. Even though you're 5-8, like Bron said, you can go play spoiler. You can make Jerry Jones mad. That's a fun opportunity. You can make Dak look bad. That's always fun. There's some good storylines in that Cowboys game. Remember, they've got the rest advantage again. Seems like that's happened a lot this year. They're playing off a 44-30 loss on Thursday against Detroit. Mm-hmm. So maybe
4
there's that post-Detroit hangover. Is that still a thing? After you play Detroit, you lose because you're so bogged down by all the physicality.
I was so into that last year. I totally
I know.
How things change. I think somebody, one of my listeners, went through all of the games, and the Vikings this year had a rest disadvantage 4 times and a rest advantage just 2. And one of those was their true bye against the Eagles, who were coming off of a mini bye themselves. So it was like, even when they had the rest advantage, it's mitigated. So they got pretty screwed up by that. And the double international and stuff. The schedule definitely wore, especially I think on some of the older players, which is rough if that's your excuse. Like, you should be able to handle that, but that might be what happened.
I think one other thought, and just, a lot of things didn't go the Vikings' way this season, both tangible and intangible, but I mean, if we look through the schedule last year, it felt like there were games popping up once a month where you were facing a Mac Jones, a backup quarterback. You're facing a Mac Jones. You're facing a Joe Flacco who was in there for the Colts. Today had this happened to the Vikings previously this season. I know they got the Bengals back up and they smoked them, right? They end up with facing Mariota in the second half today, and they smoked the Commanders. Like, these are the games where Flores and this defense feasts, and it feels like they've had a run where the quarterback play against them has been pretty above average. They haven't faced a lot of like subpar bad quarterback situations, or like, rookies and they face Dylan Gabriel. They win that game, right? Like, they've taken advantage of those good quarterback matchups where the defense has overwhelmed people. When they've faced good quarterback situations, has not gone well.
Vikings have themselves a day. You got J.J. McCarthy, career day, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 31-0 shutout for Brian Flores in the defense as well. They moved to 5-8 on the year. Huge shout out to all you guys, all the everydayers out there. Always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us. Chat was on fire again today. Make sure you check out Ron each and every Tuesday. That's the Ron Johnson Show. Give him a follow on X at 3Ron Johnson. Luke Braun right here. Always bringing the good stuff over on Locked On Vikings each and every day. We will be back tomorrow morning with our guy Arif Hassan breaking it all down. Sam Ekstrom hosting. Until then, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.